Hi, I'm Mary Kopczynski, the CEO of RegAlytics, with your update on 20,166 regulatory alerts. The topic of the week, unequivocally, is Israel and the so-called Iron Sword War with Hamas. To put it in perspective, there were 343 regulatory alerts in 2022 having to do with Israel, Hamas, Palestine, Gaza, and Hezbollah. 343 for all of 2022. Well, there were 203 in the last 7 days, so it's big. So using RegAlytics only, I'm unraveling what I see happening. The first attack was October 7th. We know Biden was woken up in the middle of the night. He was on the phone with the Israeli Prime Minister by 8:30 in the morning. We know he gave a speech that has been widely shared and received, declaring unwavering support for Israel. We know President Zelensky of Ukraine went on the record saying Russia wants a war in the Middle East to create discord in the world so it stops paying attention to what's going on in Ukraine. He pushed world leaders to stick with the international rule of law. We know that the Qatar Ministry of Foreign Affairs has been receiving and cataloging all of the calls it is getting from other countries on the issue, including Turkey, France, Spain, US, UAE, Egypt, Jordan, and more. We know Senator Tim Scott rang the bell on the $6 billion that was supposed to be released to Iran after the hostage swap a few weeks ago. So Qatar has agreed to hold that $6 billion and not yet send it to Iran until it is confirmed that Iran has not instigated the conflict. We also know from the Congressional Research Service that the Biden administration and Israel have stated publicly that they do not have evidence that the Iranian government had a planning role, but are looking at the question. And then, of course, there is the response from the U.S. states, which include the normal things like lowering their flags, making speeches, issuing statements, passing resolutions condemning the attacks, calling for a day of prayer, lighting the state capitol blue in support of Israel, etc. But there were some items with real teeth, such as the Texas comptroller announcing the purchase of $20 million in Israeli bonds. And then the New York Attorney General, Letitia James, sending letters to social media companies requesting they provide detailed explanation of the steps they are taking to stop the spread of hateful content encouraging violence against Jewish and Muslim people. These letters went to Google, Meta, X, formerly Twitter, TikTok, Reddit, and Rumble. An interesting regulator to note in all of this is the Palestinian Authority. They are out there, and they're not Hamas. World leaders from around the world, including US, Canada, and the UK, have been calling Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas, saying that they are willing to help with humanitarian crisis and that Hamas does not stand for the Palestinian people. And I'm not saying that to be inflammatory, but to ensure everyone is informed. So we're keeping our eyes on the situation in Israel, and in the meantime, the world continues with regulatory alerts. And so what else happened last week? The SEC finalized 2 rules, one for modernizing beneficial ownership reporting. Basically, if you're going to own more than 5% of a publicly traded company, your position needs to be on the public record within 5 days instead of 10. It also updated requirements for companies to make 13D and G disclosures in machine-readable format, and I know my friends at the Data Act are probably cheering. The other has to do with securities, loans, and reporting associated with those. The Federal Trade Commission also announced a settlement with bankrupt crypto company Voyager for promising safe deposits to entice consumers to hand over their funds, leading to significant losses, including ongoing salary deposits, college tuition funds, and down payments for homes. The complaint also names the CEO and his wife as defendants. Lesson learned. Don't say you're FDIC insured if you're not. And definitely don't put your money into something that isn't FDIC insured. There's been plenty of warnings. Do not leave cash in PayPal or Venmo. They are not banks and they are not insured. And so that's it this week for RegAlytics. Join me every Wednesday for your dose of regulatory news.